I was born to preach the gospel. I was born to preach the gospel. I was born to preach the gospel. And I sure do love my job, yeah. I was born to preach the gospel. I was born to preach the gospel. I was born to preach the gospel. And I sure do love my job, yeah. Yes, I really love my job. I'm a disciple that makes disciples that makes disciples. Oh, I'm a disciple that makes disciples that makes disciples. I'm a disciple that makes disciples that makes disciples. Yes, I'm a disciple that makes disciples that makes disciples. I'm a disciple that makes disciples that makes disciples. I'm a disciple that makes disciples that makes disciples. Get firmly rooted. So let's get firmly rooted. Let's get firmly rooted. So let's get firmly rooted. Oh, I'm a disciple that makes disciples that makes disciples. I'm a disciple that makes disciples that makes disciples. I'm a disciple that makes disciples that makes disciples. Let's get firmly rooted. Firmly rooted. Let's get firmly rooted. Yeshua, 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 Yeshua. I'm a disciple that makes disciples that makes disciples. We're disciples that make disciples that make disciples. We are disciples that make disciples that make disciples. We are disciples that make disciples that make disciples. Let's get firmly rooted. Firmly rooted.
Hey, good morning, everybody. Good morning. Good morning. Thank you so much. Love you, man. We should do one of these Fridays together. Happy Friday, everybody. I was talking to Pastor Tom. I've been talking to him all week, but and I hope this wasn't like one of your sermons coming up.
Stealing my thunder now. Man.
But actually, I'm not even gonna. Yeah, there'll be tons left to talk through. But we were talking about just this this pattern that we are seeing throughout Scripture about like just the power of a testimony and how. Oh, a lot more people jumped on. Let me say good morning. Good morning, guys. Good morning. Pops is on. But just the power of testimony and all throughout Scripture, you just see like this pattern happening where people are testifying, of the goodness of the Lord, and it's just sending whole cities, right? It's sending like people running after the Lord. Pastor Tom mentioned this scripture the other day, and I was reading it in Mark, but we're probably going to jump in Matthew. I want to read it through in Mark, and then we'll jump over to Matthew 2. But it's in Mark 7. We'll start at verse 24. And it says, from there he arose and went into the region of Tyre and Sidon. And he entered a house, and he wanted no one to know it. But he could not be hidden. And I just, man, I just stopped there for a while, right? Because, oh my goodness, because all through through the New Testament, you see him over and over again, like being hidden from the Pharisees and the Sadducees. Like Jesus can be hidden when he wants to be hidden, but it says for a woman. For a woman whose young daughter had been with an unclean spirit, right? So this because somebody was desperate, because somebody was pursuing him who was humble, right? Like he can resist the proud, right? He can escape the Pharisees, but when someone is genuinely hurting or in trouble and they're pursuing after the Lord. This example is like Jesus can't be hidden from that, and I just love that. But this lady, right? So for a woman whose young daughter had an unclean spirit, heard about him, right? Somebody was testifying to this lady about the goodness of the Lord, and she heard of him, and she came and she fell at his feet. And I actually want to jump over to Matthew. Because it gives a little bit more details of this scene. And so it says, starting in verse 22, she fell down, right? And she cried out and said, "Have mercy on me, O Son of David," right? And I love that because like that's more praise than the than the religious folks were giving him at that point, right? And so she's calling him the Messiah. She's like, "Hey, O Son of David, my daughter is severely demon possessed." But he answered her not. And again, like, man, it's just like there's so many points where we can relate to this lady. Like, 'cause have we ever been, in the midst or sitting in our mess, sitting in the midst of trouble and issues, and it just feels like Jesus is being silent, right? It feels like he's not answering us. And a little thing, so she's a Syrophoenician woman, and one of the commentaries that I read said that like that region was given over to like Baal worship and stuff like that, and so her young daughter who was demon possessed. It's because she's raising her young daughter. She's raising and that young, she could be 5, she could be 14. We don't know, but she's raising her in a society in a culture of sexual immorality and violence. I know none of us can relate to that, right? But she's raising her in this environment, right? And so either she consciously like exposed her daughter to it, or consciously exposed her daughter to this. She's living in this area, right? And so her daughter gets demon possessed, right? And so not only is she desperate, but also she might be feeling some shame. She might be feeling some guilt. And Jesus, doesn't answer. And I love that just her pursuit, right, after the Lord. And it makes me super happy about like just like the power of testimonies, because like, man, she heard wind, right? Like this lady who is in a region that is not glorifying the Lord at all, gets wind of Jesus, right? She gets testified to. She hears this testimony of the Lord, and she's like, man, I got to bring my daughter. And that's the testimony of every single person that's connected to this stream right now, right? No matter who you are, somebody has brought you to Jesus. Even if you're an unbeliever, right? Even if you're an unbeliever watching this stream right now, you're either connected to somebody who shared this stream, or you're connected to somebody who goes to this church. So consciously or unconsciously, somebody has brought you to Jesus. And I'm not trying to claim I'm Jesus. I relate more to the disciples or the apostles here. so don't. We're gonna keep reading. You're gonna see, where I fit in. But the reality is that somebody is making an effort, or somebody has got you connected to the message from the Lord, a message of from the Lord, and inviting you into an encounter where you can encounter the God of the universe that's in control of it all, right? In the midst of our mess, when we're sitting in our shame and in our guilt. We can be encouraged by this lady's testimony. And she goes to Jesus, and he answers her not. Where I've lost my place. There we go. But he answered not a word. And he said and his disciples came out, urging him, saying, "Send her away." right. That's me. Right. That's some other believers. Right. And I want to talk to you again, just saying. Man, don't ever let the testimony or the witness of a fallen believer push you away from your pursuit after truth, push you away from your pursuit after the Lord. Man, he's so much bigger than men, right? And just like this passage, man, he won't be hidden from you. And so continue to pursue and run after the Lord. And so the disciples are like, send her away. And Jesus answered, the disciples saying, I was not sent except to those sheep of the house of Israel. Then she came and worshiped him, saying, Lord, help me, right? So she lost to King David. She was like, now she's just like, hey, I'm not, putting on a show. I'm just desperate. I'm just crying out. I'm being the most vulnerable. Lord, right? Lord, help me. But then he answered and said, it is not good to take the children's bread and throw it to the little dogs, right? And she said, yes, Lord. Yet even the little dogs eat the crumbs which fall from their master's table. Man, she's like, God, I know I'm nothing. I know I'm the most humble approach. I know I don't deserve anything, but I would much rather eat the crumbs from your house than stay where I'm at. And Jesus looks at her and says, "O woman, great is your faith." I just love that, man. For the rest of eternity, this lady, has this title of having this great faith, and let that be our testimony. And oh woman, great is your faith. Let it be to you as you desire. And so somewhere, we don't even know where her daughter's at, but we don't know how it went down. But the demon just knew, I gotta go. And immediately, her daughter is healed. And I there's so many things there. And if this was a sermon, Pastor Tom, you can take it from there. But I was just so blown away, that nothing swayed this lady away. Right? She heard a testimony of the Lord and his faithfulness and his goodness, and she's like, I'm going. No matter what, other believers will say, no matter, I'm walking into this church, and they're going to judge me because I look like this, or, I carry myself like this, I'm still cussing, I'm still whatever. And she's like, I'm going, and I'm going to be vulnerable, and I'm just going to cry out to the Lord. And Jesus is like, I can't be hidden from that. And she found her breakthrough. And so I love this passage, and I feel like it was like a perfect segue into talking about this new thing that we're doing here at the church, and that's just capturing testimonies, because God has been doing some amazing things here at our church, but just in this region, alone, and we want to hear them, right? Because there's people who aren't connected, who don't know how to cry out to the Lord, who haven't yet heard the goodness and the faithfulness of the Lord, and haven't heard that there's another report, right? They've gotten the doctor's report, they've gotten this report, but they don't know that there's another report, that Jesus is saying that something else, right? Jesus is saying that there's hope. And they need to hear. They need to hear the testimony of the Lord. They need to hear your testimony and my testimony that God is faithful and that God has delivered me, out of my mess, out of my shame, and that He would do the same for them. And those testimonies, we're hoping that they're going to send, our community running after the Lord. They're going to send them running. And so, can Oxford be saved? I believe absolutely. And it comes to the words of our testimony. And so with that being said, I'm reaching out to you guys. So if you've experienced a supernatural breakthrough, if that were healing or if that was just God opening up a door, we want to hear from you. So reach out to me. My email is just aaron@firmlyrooted.org. So you can email me or you can reach out to Pastor Tom, Kimberly, any other leaders here at the church. And we want to capture your story and start publishing them, right? Just posting them to YouTube, posting them to Facebook, and so we can share them out with our community, with the world, so that others can hear this testimony and they can start their pursuit after the Lord. Isn't that good? I hope this blessed you, and we're gonna jump off of here, but we'll be right here with prayer with my dad in just a little bit. So have a blessed day. Have a great rest of your Friday, and we'll talk at you soon. All right, peace.